He had been saving for 3 months. 3 months of skipping lunches, of wearing shoes with holes in the soles, of telling himself that the sacrifice was worth it. Because tonight, his little girl would feel like a princess. Marcus Webb, a 34-year-old warehouse worker from a small town in Ohio, had folded and unfolded that crumpled birthday plan so many times. The paper had gone soft at the edges. His daughter Lily was turning 7. And despite everything life had thrown at him, the divorce, the medical bills, the loneliness that crept in after midnight, he was determined to give her one perfect evening she would never forget. He wore his only good shirt, a faded navy blue button-down he had ironed twice. Lily wore a second-hand pink dress her grandmother had found at a thrift store, but she twirled in it like it was the finest silk in the world. She held her father's rough, calloused hand as they walked through the glass doors of Bellini's, a mid-range Italian restaurant that Marcus had been eyeing for months. Not fancy enough to be intimidating, but nice enough to feel special. When the hostess led them to their table, Lily's eyes went wide at the candle flickering in the center, and Marcus felt his chest fill with something so heavy and so tender it was almost painful. If you believe in kindness and second chances, and in the quiet courage of ordinary people, please like this video, leave a comment, and share this story with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to the Kindness channel, so you never miss a story that reminds you what humanity is truly made of. And tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We want to know. What Marcus did not know was that 3 tables away, a woman named Victoria Hale was watching them. Victoria was 38, the only daughter of the late Richard Hale, founder of Hale Enterprises, a billion-dollar empire built on real estate and hospitality. She had arrived at Bellini's alone that evening, something she rarely did, after canceling yet another dinner with associates who bored her with spreadsheets and small talk. She had been feeling hollow for weeks, untethered from any real sense of purpose despite her penthouse apartment and her private car, and her name printed on the sides of buildings. She had everything, and yet she sat at her table pushing pasta around her plate, wondering why none of it felt like enough. Then she noticed them. The man in the faded shirt who kept smiling too wide whenever his daughter looked up at him, hiding the worry behind his eyes. The little girl who held the laminated menu like it was a treasure map, sounding out words she couldn't read yet, looking to her father for help. Marcus had quietly asked the waiter which pasta dish was the least expensive, his voice low and his eyes slightly downward, the practiced, invisible shame of a man who had learned to need help without wanting anyone to notice. He ordered 1 plate for Lily and said he wasn't hungry, though his daughter tilted her head and said, "But Daddy, you always say dinner is better together." He laughed softly and changed his order to a small bowl of soup, the cheapest item on the menu. Victoria Hale set down her fork. Something moved through her that she had not felt in a very long time. Not pity, but recognition. She recognized the love in that man's posture. She had seen it once before, in the way her own father used to sit across from her at restaurant tables after her mother left, pretending he wasn't exhausted, pretending the world wasn't falling apart, pouring every last ounce of his strength into making sure she felt safe. Richard Hale had been a struggling contractor back then, long before the empire, long before the billions. Victoria had forgotten that man. Somewhere in the years of success and acquisition, she had forgotten where she came from. She called her waiter over and spoke quietly for a moment. The waiter nodded, glanced toward Marcus's table, and disappeared toward the kitchen. Victoria then opened her purse and wrote something on a small card, the kind she always carried for business. But this time, she wrote something entirely different on the back. Marcus was helping Lily twirl her fettuccine onto her fork when the manager approached their table, his expression warm and unhurried. He set down a plate of food in front of Marcus, a full pasta dish, rich and steaming, and told him it had been taken care of. Marcus looked confused. He began to protest, reaching instinctively for his wallet, but the manager gently placed a small envelope on the table and said only that it was a gift from a fellow diner who wished them a happy birthday. Lily immediately looked around the restaurant with enormous eyes, as though Santa Claus himself might be seated nearby. Marcus opened the envelope slowly. Inside was a card, and on the back, handwritten in clean, careful letters were these words. Your daughter is watching how you carry hard days. She will carry herself the same way one day. You are doing something extraordinary, even if it doesn't feel like it tonight. Dinner is on me. So is whatever comes next. Please call the number on the front. There is a job waiting for someone exactly like you. V. He read it twice. Then a third time. His jaw tightened the way a man's does when he is trying very hard not to cry in a restaurant. On his daughter's birthday, Lily, who could not yet read cursive, tugged his sleeve and asked what the paper said. Marcus folded it carefully, pressed it to his chest for just a moment, and then looked at his daughter with the steadiest eyes. He could manage and said it was a birthday message from a very kind stranger. Across the restaurant, Victoria had already settled her bill and was pulling on her coat. But before she walked out, she paused and looked back one final time at that table, at the man who was now laughing freely, feeding his daughter a bite of tiramisu while she made a dramatic show of whether she liked it or not. Something in Victoria's chest quietly unlocked. She stepped out into the cold night air and, for the first time in longer than she could remember, she did not feel hollow. Marcus called the number on Monday morning. It led to an interview, then a position managing operations at one of Hale Enterprises' warehouse facilities, a role that came with a real salary, benefits, and a future. He accepted before they finished the sentence. He told Lily that night that sometimes the world sends you a miracle disguised as a stranger at a dinner table, and that the only thing you must always remember to do is stay kind enough to deserve it and brave enough to believe it when it arrives. If this story touched something in your heart, if it reminded you that kindness still exists in this world, that one quiet act can rewrite someone's entire life, please like this video and share it with someone who needs a little hope today. Your share might be someone else's miracle. Before the story ends, drop a comment below with just one word that describes how this story made you feel. Just one word. We read every single one. Lily still has that birthday card. She keeps it tucked inside a book on her shelf. And sometimes when Marcus passes her room at night, he sees her looking at it, this small rectangle of paper that arrived at the exact moment the world felt too heavy to carry. He says it is the most expensive thing they own, not because of what it cost the woman who wrote it, but because of what it proved to both of them, that goodness is still out there, quiet and unannounced, sitting 3 tables away, waiting for the right moment to change everything.